Hey, welcome back. Continuing on with the series of performance with puppetry. We're going to cover the basics continuing right now. And this time we're going to focus on what level your puppet should be at, whether you're on a stage or whether you're on camera. And so let's focus on stage. You know, the earlier videos, this is the third one so far in the series. Not that I'm keeping track or you have to watch it in any particular order. But I did cover, you know, synchronizing your speech to your hand. I also covered next about eye focus to your audience or to the camera, so the puppet looks like it's looking at everybody out in the camera TV world or wherever the video might end up, as well as theater. If there's a live audience, that you make sure your puppet is looking down or looking at the audience, whether they're just below the stage, top of the stage, or whatever. So that is something important to do, as well as, so let's just focus right now on theater. So if you were having a stage where there was a bar or whatever, and I'm behind a curtain or whatever the setup the stage might look like, you would want your puppet to be, if this was the top of the stage, to be about belly button size height, basically. The issue is again, it sounds so easy to keep your puppet up there, but in the beginning it gets frustrating because your arm does get tired and your puppet starts sinking. And then next thing you know, he's just ahead. So as much as it sounds easy to just keep your puppet at one height, you also have to factor in that you got to keep him at that height when he's walking at all times or moving around. That's pretty well the height. Now if you move further behind the stage, you've got to raise the puppet a bit, because he'll start looking like he's shrinking as he gets further away and the audience won't see him down below. So you'll want to raise him. And when he gets closer to the edge of the stage, you can line it up. Okay, the puppet should be about, you know, a couple, 2 or 3 inches away from the stage, maybe even a half a foot away. You don't want the puppet leaning on the stage. It could cause an accident. The stage could fall over from you leaning on it, and so it's really important to be able to keep the puppet away, and you've got more movement. It's really important that puppets move. That's what keeps them alive. That's what keeps them interesting. You do not want a talking head. We all know from school when we have teachers that all they do is sit there and talk. It's not very interesting, and it isn't any more interesting, no matter how fun or cute or interesting the character or puppet may look. It can get really boring quickly. So it's really important that you focus less on dialogue and more on movement that will highlight the dialogue that you say. You don't want to do too much movement because then it becomes overwhelming. So there are 2 ideas to keep in mind. For television or camera work, it's the same general rule. I can't see the screen very well, but I'm going to get down, and you can see here you've got to keep them about the belly button height right there. And so again, when he walks, you know, you keep them at the same height. You don't want them to be starting to sink and falling below the screen, and people will think he's in quicksand. And so it's important to be able to do that. Keeping them at the same height. If you move away from the camera, you've got to lower him a bit more so that your arm doesn't show. And again, if you move closer, right up to the screen, you can you don't have to worry about too much because his face pretty well fills it. So the great thing about television or camera work particularly, it's a lot of fun. You can the stage, you're a bit limited on angles, but you know, for camera, you can make them suddenly disappear, and then normally you don't see me, but you can show them from the side, right? And it's easier for me to do it on this side than this side, but you get the point. You can have them pop out into a shot, and you can even get them, going over top. So it's a lot of fun with camera. You can do a lot of stuff with it. So that is covering basically the height and some general rules around working with a stage, or with puppetry and live theater, or some cues around camera work and keeping your puppet at the same level and that. Are there any other questions or suggestions that you might want to cover? I think we've covered it. Okay, I think we're going to leave it at that.